Hey, it's Maddie again, and I was gonna go into some really deep geeky stuff regarding business, and then I was like, hold on, let's say that for later. I can't go into exactly what I do or where I work or anything, but I about once a week I sit across a table. I sit across a desk from somebody who's just started a new business and they really don't know where they're going. They have an idea, they file for paperwork because it's easy. It's like, maybe depending on the state, I know around here it's like $100 to file EIN free from the IRS. And you go down and you get a bank account using that, and boom, you are in business doing something, a passion, usually something that you're really interested in, something that maybe you learned how to do on the job elsewhere and decided to go independent. Maybe you have a mentor who you've studied under who's like, "Hey, go into business for yourself, and I'll help you because I'm trying to transition out from actively working, and I'm willing to help mentor you." And that is awesome if that's like where somebody finds themselves, but that's not most people, and uh, people come in and they're like, oh, um, I'm getting a food truck, or I'm working toward a food truck, I'm doing like baking stuff out of my kitchen right now, and I have like places I sell to, convenience stores here and there, you know, and I'm doing like $3,000 a month at these three places, and wanting to actually make my business official and see what I can do with it. And there's that idea there, right? There's that germ of an idea, but then how do you take that bigger? And when I'm dealing with people who aren't business people, who don't have their own business yet, and they're talking with me about more personal related stuff, and I ask them questions like, do you have any financial goals? Do you have any dreams? Do you have, tell me about where you want to be in 5 years? And so often the answer is, I want to start my own business. That's what I want to do. Great, awesome. Tell me about the business that you want to create. And I'm not a business coach, right? That's not my job. I don't get paid to do really that kind of stuff. Um, I have a very specific job, and some of it is kind of helping educate people, but more about things that where I work at, the kind of support that we can offer, which isn't. And I go beyond that. I go beyond that. I'm not. I am allowed to go beyond that, but this is. Um, I talk with people who set up businesses and who have been working with our organization for sometimes months or even a year or two, and they haven't. And nobody's really. I mean, they ask questions and stuff, but haven't really hit on the things that are kind of important to them. And in some cases, that tell them no, a certain thing isn't available or something, and that's just a training thing. That's something that can be rectified. But the and you're going to get that in any company, right? You're in any organization. You're going to get that. Not everybody hits 100%, and especially starting out, you may not. You may be confident, but you may not be aware that certain things exist or are possible, and so you just say, well, no, we that's not something that we do because you know I have not been informed of it, and and that's certainly understandable. But then, um, just sitting down and talking with somebody was about strategic planning, about how they want to do something, and the most important thing, the most important question that I find is always why. What is your goal? What do you want to do? One uh, somebody that is just setting up a business that I was helping today. He's been actually working at this business for a couple of years, just off the books, and now he's taking it legit because he has a client base. He actually has contracts for maintaining what he's done already, and he has no plans beyond growing what he's got now. He's going to be a one-person outfit because he doesn't want to go any bigger, and that's great. He's comfortable. That's where he wants to be, and I'm going to support him in that as best as I can. And on the other hand, I have somebody that I talked with last week who his business has theoretically been around for several years, but he's only really engaged in it in the last year. And he's talking about his future growth, going to acquiring more shops and growing outside of the city and into other markets, and that is fantastic. And I want to be able to support him in that as well, which means I have to be able to go from like this one person who's by himself and that's all he wants, but I want to make him as successful as possible, to this other guy who is just like, he has big dreams, big visions, and he's looking for ways to support his growth. The basic infrastructure of growth, and that is exciting. But one is not more important than the other. They're each doing it for very specific reasons. They have different visions. They have different things that are driving them. They work in different sectors, which some sectors you do a lot better with if you have more people. Others, you can be an individual contractor and do perfectly well. And neither of those is right, neither of them are wrong, but if they swap places, they would be totally wrong. Not just skill sets in terms of understanding what the job that they're doing, but also but if you're not wanting to do something at a certain scale, don't ever allow somebody to define what is proper for what a proper scale is for you. It's something that you do through looking at yourself, just looking at yourself, understanding what it is that you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. One guy that I talked with, he has a business. I helped him with kind of separating out another business because they had very different liability profiles, and one of them was just during the winter and the other one was year round, and it was just time for him to separate. And I'm asking, how long are you going to have this for? And he said, well, maybe 5 years, and then I'm going to retire. And I said, oh, so you're putting this together and you're going to then sell it off? And he said, oh no, I'm just going to shut down both companies. And I'm looking, I'm going, and I know what his revenues are, I know what he does, and I'm like, dude, why would, okay, let me ask you, why did you start the businesses? Why are you doing this? And he, to support himself, to support his family. And I said, well, why are you getting out of it in 5 years? And he said, because I'll have the money that I think I need for the rest of my life. And I said, well, is it your desire to just walk away and let everything fall apart, just let the whole thing go because you don't want to see anybody else imposing their dreams, their vision on what you've built? And he said, no, I don't really care about that. So we had a discussion about the value of an existing business with existing contracts and contacts and networks and ongoing revenue and volume that is quite above average from similar businesses in the area. and he'd never considered succession planning for his business, or the fact that somebody else might find value in this and might be willing to pay him for it. And suddenly he went from, I'm doing this for, so I have enough money to retire on, to, I'm doing this so that I can leave a legacy, because he has people who depend on him, and that's the thing that he was kind of dicey on, was, do I actually get out of it, and what happens to them? And it wasn't my job to tell him what he wanted to do, right? It wasn't my job to say, oh, this is what you should do. You should work, you should build up both of these businesses and then turn around and sell it. That was not my job. What I was there to do was to draw out that why. Why are you doing this? What is your thought process? And then offer him another perspective, offer him another possibility that he hadn't even considered. And that's why I'm here talking to you, because I don't know you like that. I don't know what it is that you're thinking about, what it is that you do, what is it that you want to do. But I'm hoping that maybe in talking to me, just me talking to you, we can kind of jar something that, in a way that kind of knocks something free and gets you thinking in a different light, something that maybe helps you take it from a lower level to a higher level. Not because necessarily you want more money, or because you don't think that you're it should be because you're not where you want to be, and now you think you might have ideas about how to take it to where you really want to be. Or maybe it's because your motivation maybe changes. It can change over time. The reason why you do something you may do one thing when you're 20, and you may do the same thing when you're 40, but your reason for it may change, and so your attitude towards it may change. And it may drop in importance, or it may become much more important. And so that's going to be because you learn new things, you had new experiences, people gave you new perspectives, you learn things that you didn't know before, and suddenly something clicks, and you're like, oh. And honestly, that's what I love about what my day job is because occasionally I get to do that for someone. And I'm not saying I'm some big business coach or anything like that. I am totally not. I'm small potatoes. I'm literally sitting here with a podcasting microphone plugged into my cell phone, not even sure that the microphone is being picked up properly by my cell phone. I don't know. I'll have to hear. But but I have my day job. I got this thing that I'm working on with currently selling liquidation items on eBay, getting that going so I can fund something better, my affordable housing project, and I have coworkers, a worker, like, how do you do these things? How do you think about them? Maybe you should share these thoughts with others. Maybe this could help other people. And I'm not allowed to attach my name to that kind of thing. Not where I work, not in the industry I work in. But that's okay. It's not about me. It's what I can do for others. Because if something breaks, something breaks. If you're listening to me because you found me, maybe from Blue Sky. Maybe this is 5 years down the line, and I've been doing this for 5 years, and who knows how many episodes you've listened to by now, and you're going, oh my God, you were so bad. How the hell did you get to where you are today? And I don't know how I'll get there, except that I will. And I hope that if you're from the future, that you're able to grab something that's useful. I hope that this is something that is that is not a waste of your time. Um, I just and I want to thank you for listening, whenever you're listening, wherever you're listening. You know, um, it's really just a thrill to be here behind a mic, knowing that my voice is going to be preserved. It's going to be out there on Spotify. I may turn this into I may go ahead and throw this on Google on YouTube as well as a podcast on there. Just slap a static picture or maybe AI animation of like swirling galaxies or something. Because why not? Because I don't. It's not about the platform, right? I'm doing this because honestly, I tried video editing. Nah, it's not for me. Audio, I mean, I'm not even editing this. I'm just recording and uploading, and boom, I'm done. And let the cards fall where they may, because it's not about it's about me talking to you, you know. And anyway, it's been a joy. It's been a pleasure. I have to go. I have some other things I got to do. I have got so many spools of ribbon to image. And I will be talking to you again soon, I promise. And continue being awesome. And if you enjoyed if you thought that I had something interesting to bring to the table, go ahead and give a like or thumbs up or whatever, however you're listening to this. And I do have a Patreon that is supporting an affordable housing initiative that I'm starting locally, because that's what all this is going to. That's what all these spools of ribbon stacked up on my desk around me are eventually going to help fund. How? I don't know, but I'll figure it out. Actually, I do have a plan. I do have a plan because I'm always planning. But for drama's sake, I don't know how, but it will. You have a great day. Thanks for listening.